have the kind of the final implementation of the prototype. We have a tire carrier. This is actually a hub off of, this is a hub that we cut for the 3500 tire carrier for a Sprinter van. The hub on the forward wheel is much larger than the hub on the 2500 Sprinter van. So this is a Transit 250, but the hub is actually kind of in between a 2500 and a 3500 on a Mercedes. So anyway, these three holes are what we're looking for here, and so we'll bolt this tire up and we'll do some testing. My main concern is testing how the weight is carried on the hinges. So we're going to put this on here, load it up with a bunch of weight, and basically use it for a while. And if we need to create brackets for the inside to help secure the hinges, we will, and if not, then we're good to go. Works.
Yep.
The first Owl tire carrier for a Transit. We left some extra space here because we assume that anyone that puts this on is going to have much bigger off-road tires, so left a couple inches of space. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Let's test the function. Alright, so we got our first kind of hiccup here. I made this tube a little bit shorter and then have the angle here, and what's happening is as we close it, this is actually levering this off the door a little bit. So all we really have to do is extend this tube a couple inches so that this sway link is straighter, coming straight off, so that the force is straight into the door, and I think we should be good. But regardless, at this point, we should be able to test the hinges. I think we've actually finally got it pretty good. Now, I mentioned a few minutes ago, or I mentioned in the last portion of this video, how originally I put the sway link here and we were getting some twisting on this bracket. So now the sway link is basically dead straight, so that when you slam the door, the force is going straight into this bracket, and it seems to have solved everything. So now everything is nice and solid, and you still get the articulation as you open it. Everything works fine. I know a lot of you are familiar with tire carriers that have been out there in the past that have bolted to the door, which means that as best we can tell, there were no hinge failures. There were failures of the sheet metal tearing, whereas that's not the case with this setup because we're bolted to the hinges. The other, so you can flex it up and down, which means if you hit a bump and the weight of the tire goes up and down, it's not actually going to be flexing the sheet metal, which is be a real concern of mine. This piece is going to articulate, kind of like suspension on a car. So all of the weight of an Owl carrier is on the hinges, which is by far the strongest part. So what do we do from here? I'm really happy with how things came out. We are going to flog the daylights out of this. We're going to take it to some off-road areas close to where our office is here in Northern California. We're going to hammer this thing fast over some really rough ground. We're going to drive it as much as we can, and we're just basically going to take inventory of, is there any problems with the hinges? Is there anything going on? This factory spare is actually shockingly heavy. It's a very heavy steel wheel, so I don't even think we need to put a bigger wheel tire combo on there. I think this is plenty heavy to do some testing. Anyway, so that's kind of where we are at this point, and I guess now we just test.